There's a controversy surrounding Novak Djokovic and his entry into Australia for the Australian Open. His access to the country has been held up due to an issue with a medical exemption for the COVID-19 vaccine. The Serbian tennis player is currently ranked number 1 in the world by the Association of Tennis Professionals and has held that spot for almost 7 years. He has also won a remarkable 20 Grand Slam tournaments in his lengthy career. Upon arriving in Australia, his father said Djokovic was detained in a room with police officers and wasn't allowed to use his cell phone. His father gave a statement to the media and threatened to start protests over his son's detention. He said, "If they don't let him go in half an hour, we will gather in the streets." And gather they did. Videos on social media show fans chanting for him to be freed. The group is seen surrounding a car that they believe he's in. And although it was a supportive gathering, police did take measures to push the crowd back. On January 4th, Djokovic announced that he had received exemption permission and was heading to Australia for the Open. After initially saying that all players would need to have the vaccine, Tennis Australia later put out a statement that players could receive a medical exemption from a panel of doctors. Djokovic was one of the few players whose exemption was accepted. However, his medical exemption for entry into the country itself has been disputed by the Australian government. The athlete has been open about not taking the vaccine and has discussed the importance of freedom of choice. In a New York Times interview, Djokovic said that he wasn't opposed to vaccines, but that he doesn't want to be forced to take something. He also said in a press conference that freedom of choice is essential.
Whether it's vaccination or anything else in life, you should have the freedom to choose, to decide what you want to do. In this particular case, what you want to put in your body. So I've been always a proponent of that and always a supporter of freedom of choice, and I'll be always supporting that because freedom is essential for, I would say, a happy and prosperous life.
And among tennis athletes, he's not alone in his position on the vaccine. As of this fall, tennis was one of the sports with the lowest vaccination rates. At the time of the US Open in September, the Association of Tennis Professionals reported that only 50% of its players got the jab. With Australia's very strict COVID laws, he and many others assumed that he would be forced to skip the important tournament because he has been very public about not revealing his vaccination status. So when he received a medical exemption, it was a big win. However, while he was in the air flying to Australia, the Minister of Australian Home Affairs, Karen Andrews, put out a public statement aimed at Djokovic. It suggested that the federal government could and might overturn his exemption. They made it exceptionally clear that there would be no special treatment for the athlete, and the Australian Prime Minister even made a video statement and called out Djokovic by name.
If he's not vaccinated, he must provide acceptable proof that he cannot be vaccinated for medical reasons. If that evidence is insufficient, then he won't be treated any different to anyone else, and he'll be on the next plane home.
Hours later, the Victorian Sports Minister, a government official, tweeted that the Victorian Legislative Council would not honour Djokovic's exemption status, even though 2 separate medical boards approved his exemption. They suggested that it was because of a mix-up with his visa application. When he arrived in Melbourne, he was immediately detained and separated from his team of trainers. Australian National Border Guards quizzed and questioned him until at least 5 a.m., while his coach and family remained outside. Then, he was moved to a Melbourne quarantine hotel. After 4 days, a federal circuit court judge reinstated Djokovic's visa and ordered the government to release him from his hold. Djokovic posted an update on social media and expressed his excitement and gratitude in getting to play. And while he jumped back into training, his family held a press conference back in Serbia where they hailed the ruling as a victory and spoke on the freedom of choice.
Novak has been called many names in many different press and countries around the world, but Novak is only fighting for the liberty of choice. We're grateful for the justice system of Australia, and I'm sure that, the justice will go on and the truth will, be truthful all the way.
His mother and father celebrated his release and said that being allowed to play in the tournament is bigger than any Grand Slam achievement. They said that this victory was a huge win for the whole world. With the tournament still days away, there's a chance that the government could deport him at any moment. For the latest updates on Djokovic and the Australian Open, go to dailywire.com. I'm Brett Cooper. Thanks for watching.